friends. Today we're talking about how to make 2020 your biggest and best year yet. And really this concept of how do we grow in our business? What does that look like? So if you are catching the replay, please say hello to me. I would love to know where you're tuning in from. Today, I am feeling pumped about this because this is an important conversation for business, but just in general as women. Okay, so let's cut to the chase. The number one thing that you can do to really grow in 2020 is make room to grow, right? Growth does not happen on accident, right? We do not fall into growth. Even though there's these success stories online of like, I was an overnight success, we all know that's not how it happens, right? When you look at your successes in your business, you know that you only got to that success because you put in work and energy and effort. And also you were uncomfortable, right? Think about when you first launched or started your online business, it wasn't comfortable, right? It was probably thrilling and exciting, but in order to grow at every level in our business, we had to be willing to endure some discomfort and not make it wrong, right? That's the beauty of being in a group or a mastermind. Hi, Alexia. Good morning. Yes, if you're joining in, I'd love to say hi to you. The beauty of having a group, right, of women that you can trust is you're all sharing the wins, but you're also sharing, hey, but I worked really hard to get here. Right? We talk about this a lot in my group programs in that when we win and when we succeed, sometimes we forget to give ourselves the credit of what we did to get there, right? So what I want you to do is when you think about 2020, when you think about it being your biggest and best year yet, know that it's going to be your biggest and best year yet. Hi, Alicia. How are you doing? Good evening. That's right. Remind me where you're from. You're from a completely different time zone. It's going to be your biggest and best year yet because you're going to purposefully make it your biggest and best year yet, right? You're going to step out there and grow. You're not going to just like let something happen to you, right? You are going to choose to take the brave actions to make that happen. And this drives me batty about our culture and women in general is not only are we expected to succeed and to look a certain way, but we're also expected to make it look effortless. Do you ever notice that? Right? How people say like, hey, I just woke up like this, right? Or we are expected to have these successes, but also we are not allowed to say that it took work along the way. For example, there's a lot of shame around, yes, Denmark, that's right, you're from Denmark. I can't remember if I told you this, my grandpa actually immigrated from Denmark when he was 20. So I definitely have Danish heritage and heritage in me too. It is so important, right, that as women we're allowed to say like, hey, I have a babysitter. Right? Hey, I have a team, right? I can tell you there's no way I would have gotten to where I'm at in my business without an amazing team, right? Supporting me, without an amazing assistant, without a babysitter helping me with my kids, right? There's no way that I can get there without that support along the way. And it's okay to say that, right? I can also say that, yes, I love my business. Yes, it really has done so much for me. But also, it's been hard work and I put in a lot of effort. And yes, I have stayed up for late nights and woken up for early mornings. And yes, I've cried. And like, we need to be saying both sides of it, right? Because when we neglect that part of our story, we forget that, you know, especially if you're in your business and you feel like you've maybe plateaued a little bit, right? Or you feel like you kind of stalled out, or maybe you feel like you've been kind of playing it small lately. It might be because you're forgetting that what's gotten you to this point, number one, give yourself credit for what's gotten you to this point, right? But what's gotten you to this point and the wins that you've seen in your business, but in your life in general, excuse me, one second. Didn't want to cough in your ear. The wins and successes that you've had to this point are because you put in work and you waded through the discomfort, right? And you were courageous and you overcame hardship. So I want you to think right now, if you want to put in the chat box, that would be great. But I want you to at least think in your mind of something in your life, something in your business that you overcame to get to where you're at today. I want you to remember that and I want you to take note because what it does is it's that evidence for you that what it's going to take for me to grow to the next level, I've got it in me. Right? Maybe for you, you know, lately I've been talking about batching content. Maybe it's figuring out how to batch content and get out of that daily content creation grind so that you free up time and energy for really growing your business. Maybe for you, it's really leaning into sales and actually selling more in your business. Maybe you're not really visible in the way that you know that you should be, the way that you're feeling called to be, and you know you need to be hopping on live more. Whatever it is for you, know that If you're feeling intimidated, if you're feeling uncomfortable, maybe you've been procrastinating a little more than usual lately, that can be a sign that you're ready to up level. So make that good news, right? And really look at the evidence for where in my life, where in my business have I really impressed myself when it came to stepping up to the plate? And I know that I can do it again, right? So in 2020, know that it's okay if you want to claim 2020 is going to be my best year yet. 2020 is going to be the year that I double my business. 2020 is going to be the year that I really grow, right? Don't have any shame around that, right? And also know that when you face challenges, when it takes work, you are up for the challenge, right? And I would love for you guys to drop in the chat box, 2020 is going to be my best year yet. Drop that and start saying that and start believing it. Because I think sometimes we feel like, we're going to jinx it, right? Oh, I don't want to say that because I might jinx it. I don't believe in jinxing it at all, right? I believe that when you have success, you can have more success, right? It's almost like this thing I teach my clients about sales, right? Of course, I believe in good sales strategy. Of course, I believe in a solid sales script. But at the end of the day, I really have this belief for myself and my clients that they can't screw things up when it comes to their dream clients, right? That really, at the end of the day, their dream clients are going to sign with them, even if they fumble over the words in a sales conversation, right? And so when you have this belief that, I can't really say my success, or I can't really say that 2020 is going to be my best year yet, because what if it's not, right? Or you might even have this fear of like, things have gotten really good. Am I selfish to want more? Am I selfish to ask for more? No, you are not. Because remember, as you expand, you're expanding with you. The beautiful thing about owning a business, right, is when you expand, yes, you're making more money. Yes, you're benefiting, but who else is benefiting? It's your clients, right? It's the people you serve, right? So know that as you expand, you are expanding along with them. And when you play it small, right, and when you play it safe, you are denying all those people, right, that are yet to be impacted in 2020 by you. You are keeping them back from growth and expansion too, right? So remember that there's a lot riding on you expanding, and not in like a pressure-filled way, but in a, I have been, and maybe this sounds a little crazy, but I really feel like I've been born in this moment in time, right? In all of Earth's existence, I have been born in this moment of time for a reason, right? And I am going to play out my life to the best and the biggest I know how for the humans that need me right now. Right? And this is why it drives me crazy. You guys, it drives me crazy when people say, oh, I'll launch that program in a year, or I'll do that in 6 months. What about the humans that need you right now? Right? If you are a health coach, what about that person that's struggling with their weight loss journey, struggling and really needs help right now? Right? Like AKA December, right? There's this thing of like, oh, I can't make sales in December. Sure you can, right? People need your help and assistance right now. And remembering that when you play it small, when you refuse to, get uncomfortable a little bit so that you can get visible, I really feel like you're standing in your own way, and you're standing in your potential client's way, right? So good. 2020 is going to be my best year yet. So yes, I would love for you ladies on live with me now to claim that, or even if you're watching the replay, type in the chat box, 2020 is going to be my best year yet. And know that you're not jinxing it by writing that, right? Know that you are claiming it, and know that there is something beautiful about that self-trust, that when you say something, it makes it truer, right? It doesn't make it that it won't happen. Okay, let's get back to the point. So if you want to make 2020 your best year yet, right, you are going to believe that growth is not an accident, right? That growth happens with purpose and intention. You are going to believe that when you face challenges, that you can face them, that you know that you have, and you're going to make room to up level. This is an important point, right? A lot of people are like, and I feel like I've plateaued in my business, and I feel like I'm not really growing like I'd like to, but you're not making room. You're not making room to grow. You're not making it a priority. What does that look like, right? Let's talk about something simple like content. When you refuse to batch your content, right? And you all know that I love the power of showing up on live like this, of showing up in the moment for your audience. But if you also don't have a bank of content ready to go so that you can show consistently in front of your audience, even when you have down days, even when you have slow moments, even when you're busy with extra sales conversations, there's no excuse, right? You have to figure out a rhythm of how to make your daily visibility and content creation a non-issue. And that is why I love Content Miracle, right? Because it really teaches you step by step how to create 6 weeks of content in advance so that you can have that done and taken care of, and that the stress of daily content creation is not a thing anymore, right? In this new version, I just updated it. It was, creating a bigger amount of content in advance, but now I just have it 6 weeks at a time. I didn't drop the link, but I'm going to drop the link on there too. I'm doing a Q&A on Monday. So if you joined in the last week, or if you joined this weekend, you also get a live Q&A call with me. So it's $97 and you get access to the class now. And then you get that bonus Q&A call on Monday. We meet at 10 a.m. PST. I'm so pumped. Anyway, but what it does when you start to create content in advance is it starts to position you and give you room for your next level piece of growth, right? Which is usually sales, spoiler alert, which is what makes you money, right? And so a lot of times people say, Anna, I want to get out of this content creation grind. Anna, I want to figure out how to be, visible in a way that doesn't burn me out, but also I don't have time to batch my content, right? And this is why you actually do have time to batch your content, because it actually is quicker to batch your content than to create it in the day-to-day, right? I have found that my content converts better, that I get more engagement with my content when I batch it in advance. And let's talk more about that later. But here's the thing. I think a lot of times we tell ourselves, I don't have time, or I just have to do it this way, right? I don't want to be disengaged with my audience because we're a little bit afraid. We're afraid of that next level thing. Yes, I want daily content creation off my to-do list, but also I'm a little bit scared because if daily visibility wasn't something that was sucking all of my brain cell energy, and if it wasn't something that was this like daily burden, what would I do with my time? What would I do? And the answer probably is hop on more sales calls, right? The answer is probably hiring that VA that you need to hire, right? That answer is probably taking a day to go to a hotel and have a CEO day so you can vision for your next program. The answer is probably hopping on Facebook Live like this more, right? It's things that you want but are also a little scary, right? So it's okay to acknowledge what's keeping me from batching my content isn't that I don't have time. I've got the time. What's keeping me is that once content creation is off my checklist, I have to do the next level thing. I have to launch that group program that's been on my heart and soul for a year. And I'm a little scared about it, but at least we're telling ourselves the truth, right? I'm a little scared to get visibility off my to-do list because then whatever it is, I'd have to hire that team member, right? I'd have to hop on live more, right? But know that you can handle it, right? Know that you can handle it. And that's why I'm so pumped for this group of ladies that is hopping on now for Content Miracle and is committing to batch for 6 weeks. Because what happens when you create that space and time, your business will never be the same again. Because at the start of your business, it's okay to be reactive. In fact, I think it's good, right? It's good to show up in the moment with your audience and figure out what do they want. But when you've been visible for a little while, you need to start creating space and margin in your business for that next level thing, right? That's where those next level ideas come from, right? And if you've been feeling burned out in your business or a little bit exhausted, you need to create time. You need to create margin, creativity, and I really feel like new ideas and growth. It comes from that place of having that time. Hi, Alexia. 2020 is going to be my best year yet. I feel that so much. Yes. So start claiming it. So not only write it here in the chat box, I want you to do that, but I want you to start saying it to yourself. Right? And knowing that it's not going to jinx it, right? Knowing that just when you have time, when you're sitting in the car for carpool pickup, right? You're just going to be able to say, you know what, on many levels, 2020 is going to be my wealthiest year yet. I really feel like 2020, at least for this community, for this tribe, I would love for it to be a wealth building year. And I mean that on multiple dimensions. Yes, money, because I want you to be well-resourced, because I believe well-resourced women that are heart-centered are going to change the world. Can I get an amen? But also I would love to see wealth in all of the areas of your life, in your relationship, right? With your children, with your partner, right? Whoever it is for you, that you're feeling wealthy in your freedom and your flexibility, right? But really claiming that 2020 is going to be my best year yet. And maybe it sounds crazy, but I feel like one of the best things you can do right now to make 2020 your best year yet is start batching your content, right? And start creating space in your business for those next level things. Right? And I get that it's scary, right? I get that it's scary to do those next level things, but trust that, right? I want you to just imagine for a second, right? When, daily content creation, weekly content creation is off your to-do list, like imagine yourself with literally probably 5 or more extra hours on your calendar. You probably can't even imagine that right now. You're probably like, Anna, I'm exhausted. Anna, I've got so much going on. And part of that probably feels really exciting, right? but also probably part of it feels scary, and that's okay, right? Being able to say, whatever those next level things are that I'm going to do once visibility is off my plate, I can handle it. Right? And that's going to be how I'm going to grow, right? Because I'm going to create room to grow, because I'm going to create margin to grow, because my growth is not going to happen on accident. My growth doesn't have to be hard. Like, don't hear me saying that. I don't think that growth has to be hard. I think growth can be uncomfortable, but I think growth does not happen on accident, right? Growth happens with intention. Growth happens when you sit your booty down in the chair for 4 hours and you batch that 6 weeks of content, and then you feel freedom afterwards, right? And if you've never batched content for 6 weeks, you kind of have to do it in faith the first time. And that's why I'm doing the private Q&A call this time too, because I feel like you kind of need a pep talk from me, right? To say it's going to be worth it. But once you do it, there's no turning back, right? Okay. Amen. Here, carpool pickup lines, right, Natalie? Hi, Tracy. So fun to see you on here. Hi, Natalie. So fun. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, if someone wants to drop the link for me too, it's also, at the top of my group page. But if you want to join me for Content Miracle, it's a masterclass that you get. So you get a 30-minute power pack class. It's a really simple, short training because I want you to have time to listen. It's December and we're busy, and I want you to be able to, for 30 minutes, pop in your earbuds on your commute home and get the complete training, right? So it's $97. You get the complete training, and then you get all of the workbooks. And then I'm also doing a bonus QA call on Monday. And if you can't make it live, you'll get a replay. But it's a great deal. Like, it is a great deal. And I feel like the reason that I'm offering it right now is I was asking myself, what's the biggest gift I can give to these ladies as they're preparing for growth? And I really feel like it's me sitting you down as your mentor, as your coach, and saying, I get that it feels intimidating and overwhelming, but when you batch 6 weeks of content, your business will never be the same. Because I would love you to batch right now, because AKA holidays and things get busy, but I would also love you to figure out a repeatable, consistent rhythm for doing this for all of 2020, right? I want to walk you through it the first time, but then I want you to have a repeatable system for batching content in your business. Sorry. Don't want to cough in your ear. Okay, I'm going to run through a few of the things that I heard women saying in the group. They're around fears of batching, but if you guys have any questions for me around batching in general, around up-leveling, making 2020 your best year yet with intention, or Content Miracle, please ask me, because I would love to hear it. Okay. Okay, so these were some of the things I was hearing for what's holding you back from batching your content. Number one, I heard this one a lot, I might run out of ideas, right? How can I come up with 6 weeks of content, right? How can I do that? Number one, it's why I include as one of the bonuses in Content Miracle, you get a workbook of content prompts from me. My favorite content prompts that if you are feeling dry, just pick a content prompt and answer it. And you might find that, like, in this Facebook group, when I write a question, they're really easy for you to answer, right? Like, what did I ask last week? Last week I asked, oh, I can't remember. I'm having a brain moment. Anyway, a past question I've asked is like, that's what I asked. What's the opposite of anxiety? That's the question I asked. And did you see people's responses to that? It was so good. Peace, trust, calm, right? You may find that when you sit down at the computer, you get stuck, but when someone asks you a question, you're ready to go, right? And that's why I have a prompt workbook included in the masterclass. I include that in it. But here's the other thing too. When you create 6 weeks of content, you're not coming up with, like, what 6 times 7. You're not coming up with 42 content ideas. No. You're coming up with 6 content ideas for 6 weeks. Because here's a big mistake I see people making with their content. It's throwing out so much content that's not strategic and not aligned that their audience almost feels overwhelmed. And then they're like, why aren't people buying from me? I'm showing up every day, or I'm showing up all the time. When you create a 6-week content batch, I have you pick 6 pieces of content. Not 42 pieces of content, right? You're really picking 6 themes or 6 things to talk about over those 6 weeks. And the goal also would be that it lines up with whatever you're selling, right? Call me crazy, but how often do we show up online without knowing what we're selling, right? And we wonder why we're not making money online, right? But that's why when we batch content, the beautiful thing is you can guarantee that all of your content is helping you make sales. Because when you sit down, right? And even I do this too, because I'm an ENFP, let me know what Myers-Briggs you are. But if I am just showing up in the moment, and there's beauty to that too, I can kind of be all over the place, right? And a lot of times why people have such a good experience with my content and in my free content, my business, is because I batch it. And when I sit down, it's cohesive because I'm creating it all at once, right? And I'm creating it all in the same direction. So for 6 weeks of content, you're not creating 42 pieces, you're creating 6 pieces, right? So I teach creating 6 short videos. And then from there, you're repurposing it to other pieces, right? You're repurposing it to Instagram and to Facebook and to all the social things. I repurpose it to my blog, to my email list, but I'm not writing separate pieces for everything. And some people may say, well, Anna, is that get annoying because it's duplicated? No, it doesn't. I actually think it creates simplicity, right? People, think about your email inbox. You're getting emails from people and things all day long. People don't need more information, right? They really just need to connect with you. And so keeping it simple and keeping it streamlined and having one core piece of content each week is going to work wonders for your business. And I feel like in many ways it makes it more effective because you're not, I've heard this analogy from someone, I can't remember who, but in many ways, when we put out content that's not aligned or too much content, it's almost like shoving chocolate cake in people's faces. Everyone loves chocolate cake, but like one bite at a time, right? And so really doing your audience the gift, especially your free audience, right? When someone I'm gonna get on a rant here. When someone hasn't paid you money yet, when someone isn't your paying client, your job is not to teach them all the things and to like shove a course worth of information onto their plate. Anyone made that mistake before? I have. They haven't asked for that, right? Not only have they not paid the money, but they haven't really bought in fully to you and your process yet. They're not sure. They're feeling you out. And you know what? That's healthy, right? It's healthy for your audience to need to be sold on you, right? They're building trust with you. And so one of the biggest mistakes you can make is putting too much information on your audience. I think it's better to do a small tip, right? And build trust over time. Let's say you give them your number one, balanced weight loss tip, right? And they take it and they implement that tip and it changes them. They're going to be back for more, right? And they're going to be more committed so that when they're in your 6-week or 6-month program, right, they're actually bought in. And then you can tell them all of the tips because they're ready to implement it. But when they're reading your free piece of content, they're not ready to take 10 steps, right? They don't know you yet. They're ready to take 1 step. So that's why I really advocate for simplifying your content, because I think it takes out the overwhelm for you, which also means it takes out the overwhelm for your clients. And it means it converts better. That's really what it's about, right? Is how do we get people to work with us in a paid capacity? Because when they pay you money and when they work with you in a high level capacity, that's where they're going to experience the deepest transformation, right? I do think it's powerful to show up and serve your free audience, but it's also powerful to make sure you're communicating to them. You want the deepest level of transformation? Hop into my business, right? Hop in and be one of my clients. Hop in and purchase my group, because that's where you'll really see the shift and change. We do a disservice, right, when we don't advocate for our paid programs, right? And we don't advocate for the shift that your potential clients may see when they're in there, right? Okay, my loves. Hi, Natalie. What do you mean by content? I feel that a blog post, for instance, takes so long for me, 6 to 8 hours, keyword research, SEO optimization, 2,000 words, pin images, editing, etc. Totally. So when I say content, it just depends on what your original content is. So when I teach the Content Miracle process, I use a video as the original content piece, but you can use any content as your original content piece. So if you love writing and you're like, writing is where I just solidify things, what I encourage you to do, so the first thing that you do in the process, you create your Content Miracle blueprint. And the first part of that blueprint is your original piece of content. So for you, it might be a podcast episode, right? An audio clip, basically. For you, it might be a blog post, right? For you, it might be a video. Picking that original piece, and then from there, figuring out, how am I going to really spread this around, right? What is my strategy for taking this beautiful blog piece that I wrote, and instead of writing more blog posts, how do I get this one blog post in front of more eyeballs, right? And so I haven't seen your blog post, but if your blog posts are really meaty, you may decide to write 1 blog a month. If you're telling me it takes 8 hours to write 1 blog post, you may want to play with featuring 1 epic blog post a month. I mean, like, if this blog is good, like, might as well be a freebie. Let's not do a blog post a week, right? Let's do a blog post a month, and then every week to your email list, we want to try to get people to that blog post. and feature a different part of the blog post, right? My guess is if it's an 8-hour blog post that is taking you, it probably has multiple sections, right? So maybe every week you go live on a different section, right? And what you're doing is you're adding more fuel to the marketing, right? So that this asset that you've created, this beautiful epic blog post, right? You're getting more eyeballs to the blog post. So tell me if that clarifies anything for you, Natalie. But I really feel like it's so important that you're asking yourself, how do I most like showing up with my audience? Is it a podcast? Is it like an audio bit? Is it a video? Is it an epic blog post? And then from there, now that I have my Content Miracle foundational piece, how do I want to repurpose, right? What does that look like? And when you figure out that formula, for me, with my team, I have a spreadsheet, and I share that in Content Miracle too. You get my content tracking spreadsheet. But once you have the spreadsheet, right, then you're able to say, oh, got it. Right? As a CEO, I record the podcast. As a CEO, I record the video. As a CEO, I write the blog post, right? And then from there, it gets repurposed. It gets shared to my email list in the specific way. It gets put as a blog post in the specific way, right? Repurposing it. And even if you don't have a team member, let me tell you, doing this process, number one, will allow you to batch so quickly. But then also when you do have a team member, right, you have the system in place. Because, I mean, it's okay to have our team help us with strategy, but I think as a CEO, the best thing you can do is, I heard Brooke Castillo say it like this. Let me think about how she said it. Like, you need to solve your business problems. You create the strategy, and then you hire a team member to execute on it, right? You don't want to hire a team member and say, hey, my content's a hot mess right now, figure it out. I may or may not have tried to do that at the start of my business. What is ideal is you figure out how to have a beautiful content flow, and then you hire a team member and you say, hey, come on in here. Will you help me with this, right? Will you repurpose this? Will you take over these pieces? And so that's why in Content Miracle, the first thing you do is you look at, right? And you can even get this part in. I have a freebie that will walk you through this first part, identifying your original piece of content and doing the other pieces. I'll put the freebie link in here too. But the first part of the Content Miracle process is just figuring out what's my foundational content, how to repurpose, and then making that happen, right? And it sounds crazy, but it takes way less time than you think it will. And so much of what's holding you back from this, again, is the mindset piece. And that's why I spend so much of this Facebook Live talking about, it really isn't about, I don't have time to batch my content, right? Because once that's checked off, there's something else. Right? And the beautiful thing is that's what's expansive, and that's probably what you need to do to step it up next year, right? It's probably that growth thing, launching a new program, selling a new offer, whatever it is. Okay, beautiful. Okay, Natalie says, or do you mean content geared towards coaching and providing services? Oh, Natalie, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Clarify that sentence for me. Ask me again in another way. Maybe I can just say, so if you guys haven't heard of Content Miracle before, sorry. So Content Miracle is the process that I teach in order to create 6 weeks of content for your business. So not just planning it or creating it. I do it now in about 4.5 hours. But what it does is it teaches you to have one piece of content. It basically teaches you repurposing and batching, and as a container to do that. So I'll put the sales page link on here. It's a $97 class, so it's a great deal. You get the masterclass and some bonus workbooks with content prompts and all of that. And then also right now I'm offering, if you buy it this weekend, on Monday, I'm doing a live Q&A call for those ladies that are purchasing this round, so that you can get your questions answered and so that you have accountability to actually make this thing happen, right? Because you all know information is helpful, but what's more helpful? Me being like this with you, right? You asking me your question and me helping unlock something in you, right? So that you can do the whole process with more ease and make it more effective and clear more time. You need more time, right? It's time to clear more time for creativity, for imagination. You're the CEO of your business, and so creating and being inspired is one of your number one priorities. And one of the best ways you can do that is by clearing some stress and time off your plate, making that decision. Okay, let me go over, there's a few more things people said. Oh, I love this one. One of the concerns people had about batching, which I've definitely had before, is I don't know if I rewrote this right. Basically, what if I'm not in the mood to talk about that thing when it gets there, right? So I'm creating my content for 6 weeks. What if on week 5, I'm talking about this thing, but I want to talk about something else? Number one, know that this is just an asset you're creating, right? And so what I advise, unless you're actually going to be off the grid for 6 weeks, I advise that you create all 6 weeks of content, but I advise that you get it just scheduled onto your actual social media 1 or 2 weeks at a time so that you have the flexibility, right? That's what I did this last summer. I actually created a big content batch this last summer because one of my family members had a really big health scare. And my family member ended up being fine. And so I actually didn't end up using all of the batch content. But what I did was great is something else happened in October. And so I was able to use some of that content then, and so what you're doing is you're creating an asset for your business. And if you want to talk about that, great. If not, not. And I think too, we do this thing to ourselves where we say, we forget that everything in our business is really related. And so it's actually pretty simple to be able to draw things back to whatever you're selling or whatever you're talking about, right? A big concern people had was, if I batch, is it going to take more time? 100% no. I really believe you'll cut your content creation time in half when you do it in advance. And I know that that sounds crazy, but it's just true. When you sit down, we know this about multitasking, right? When our energy is spread, it just takes more time than when you sit down and do it all at one time. Okay, the last part is engagement. So one of the bonuses that you get in Content Miracle is my engagement workbook, where I talk about what does it look like to create content that's not just valuable, but actually gets high engagement, right? How can you ask questions to your audience that get a lot of traction and engagement? And this is powerful. Like you see me posting in the group, I actually have a formula for this. And why I'm able to get such crazy engagement in my Facebook group is because I ask questions in a very specific way, but also you'll notice I also use that same formula for my value posts, right? So learning how to ask good questions for your engagement, I think, is a part of this Content Miracle process, because I agree. We want you to not just be putting content out there, but we want it to get really good engagement, right? We want people to be interacting with it. We want it to be connecting, because at the end of the day, what's the goal of all this? What's the goal of visibility? What's the goal of sales? What's the goal of all of this is to connect with humans, right? I think we forget about this sometimes. We get stuck on our website, or we get stuck on our email provider, and we forget that at the end of the day, you're here to make an impact. You're here to make money, right? And you need to be unapologetic for that. And how are you going to do that? By connecting with humans 100% of the time. That's what business has always been, even before the online space. And the internet's probably not going anywhere, but should the internet implode, business will always be about relationships and connection and trust. That's why you need to build trust with your content. You need to create engagement. You need to create connection. That's the whole point. That's what makes sales. That is what's going to make the biggest difference. And so yes, I do believe, don't just create 6 weeks of content, but create it with intention. Create it thinking about engagement. If you do Content Miracle, make sure you go through that. I call it can't remember what the workbook is called right now, but make sure you go through the workbook and you work on your engagement and not just your visibility. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me, loves. Feel free to PM me. If you're like, I don't know if Content Miracle's for me, please PM me this weekend, because this is the only time that you're gonna get a Q&A call with it, a live Q&A call with me on Monday. We're meeting at 10 a.m. PST, and if you can't make it live, I am doing a replay. And you also, you guys, kind of embarrassing, but you also get the Q&As that I've done in the past. So you get 2 Q&As from last year, and you also, I think there's 2 Q&As from last year. Don't quote me on that. And you also get the very first time I did Content Miracle 3 years ago as a pregnant person. I did Q&A calls, and I'm including them on there because I know some of you are taking more extended leaves from your business, and I feel like it could be helpful for you to go back to right where I was when I was batching content for my maternity leave and just hear the questions that were being asked and the insights, and I know you'll glean a lot from that. So PM me any questions. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to support you around. Even if you can't make the Q&A calls live, I really feel like this is going to be a game changer for you in how you clear more time in your calendar so that you can expand, so that you can get out of that daily grind of content creation and get into more sales, right? More activities that are going to help you expand. Thank you for hanging out with me, my loves. I hope to see many of you on Monday. And if you have any questions, come to my PMs. I will see you in there.